Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. In a stunning turn of events, Jeremy Rockliff's position as Premier is now on the line. The Greens moving a no-confidence motion against him following a major decision on the pokey pre-commitment card. Political reporter Anthony Dodd joins us now from Parliament Lawns. Anthony, could we see Jeremy Rockliff be forced to step down as Premier?
Kim, the House of Assembly is still debating the no-confidence motion in Premier Jeremy Rockliff, which was moved by Greens leader Rosalie Woodruff after question time this morning. And Kim, it follows a series of issues regarding the pre-commitment pokies card, which was proposed by Michael Ferguson back in 2022. It's now been revealed today that the government is in fact looking to defer progress on that card for the time being. Labor attempted to move an amendment to the motion, removing the gambling-related grounds as a reason, and insisted focusing on it, not having confidence in the Premier, but that failed to gain enough votes. If the Greens motion is successful, Parliament's convention is that the Premier resigns, which would see a new Premier come in and could also trigger an early election. Jeremy Rockliff told Parliament that an early election isn't what Tasmanians would want, but if the motion is successful, he would have no hesitation to ask the Governor for one.
And this Parliament also is well and truly on notice from the Tasmanian people. That's right. They don't expect us to agree on policy areas such as gaming reform or whatever it might be. Tell you what, we're more than 80% in agreement, but we can't have everything our own way.
Now, Kim, regardless if the motion is successful or not, it's bound to put the government on notice for the next 2 weeks as Parliament looks to wrap up for the end of the year. Let's take a look back at how the day has unfolded. An election commitment to slash the amount of money Tasmanians can lose to pokey machines, now on the burn pile.
How are you going to sleep at night knowing that what you are choosing to do will affect vulnerable people? Is it that you're no longer going to make this system universal to all venues? Is that what's going on?
The Australian first pledge to introduce mandatory pre-commitment cards, limiting losses to $5,000 per person per year, will now be deferred.
The mandatory card, what that does is it puts the ambulance at the top of the cliff and it stops people falling into those addictive behaviours and losing their livelihoods.
The Premier confirming other harm minimisation measures will be considered instead.
We remain committed and aligned with our election commitment when it comes to pre-commitment card as soon as practicable.
Much to the frustration of those who have advocated strongly for the initiative.
I know people who have been personally impacted by poker machines. I know their families, I know their community. We've been hoping for a long time that this government had a backbone and integrity.
Many saw the writing on the wall when the government secretly commissioned a review of the card's impact on the hospitality industry earlier this year.
It has been progressing, investment has been made in it. That work could and should continue, and we would see this card implemented by the end of next year.
Disheartened crossbenchers are now seeing red.
The Premier has shown by his actions that he is not a man of his words, he cannot be trusted, and in fact, he lies to people. And that is at the heart of this no-confidence motion.
Today's about face, promising a fiery final 2 sitting weeks in the House of Assembly before Christmas. Anthony Dodd, 7 Tasmania News.
Kingborough will be the new home of the Tasmanian Devils High Performance Centre with a completion date of October 2027. The Clarence Council feeling snubbed by the decision, with the Mayor claiming the process of choosing a location was, quote, unconscionable, appalling and unprofessional.
The Devils have found their den. The Twin Ovals in Kingston will soon be the location of a high-performance centre for our new AFL team.
It'll provide us with the ability to attract, retain and develop players, but also be a strong connection point to the community, not just here but communities around the state.
The 9,000 square metre facility will house a state-of-the-art aquatic centre, indoor and outdoor training facilities, administration space, plus 2 additional ovals.
That will ensure that the existing club tenants, the cricket club and the football club, have the facilities that they require into the future as well.
This is not something that's going to be locked up or behind high fences. This is something that will be available to the communities.
The price tag is sitting at $70 million, 60 from the state government and 10 from the AFL, with a strict completion date of October 31st, 2027. The location is already home to various sporting organisations and only a stone's throw away from the planned site of the Jack Jumpers High Performance Centre, making Kingborough the epicentre for elite sport.
We're going to be in a great position to be able to attract the best talent in the state that want to further their football.
Having a pathway for our girls and our female athletes and access to a second turf wicket and another ground is huge for our club.
But not everyone is on board with the decision.
Over the past 12 months, we've been told by both the government and the club that Rosny was the preferred site, so it is indeed extremely disappointing.
The Clarence Council claiming the government has chosen a second-class outcome.
This has been the most appallingly unprofessional process. In effect, it's been unconscionable, the conduct of the government.
One of the cost risks at Rosny is certainly the geotechnical aspect of that site and the amount of civil works that would need to be completed.
Lily Thompson, 7 Tasmania News.
The state's peak nursing union has taken to social media amid ongoing staffing and ramping woes which continue to plague the Launceston General Hospital. The MF issuing the urgent plea to members to help fill overnight shifts as emergency department numbers drop below the recommended ratios.
The ANMF were concerned that there wasn't any relief coming for our members and that the safety of both our members and the quality of care of patients potentially hadn't been addressed.
The government is in the middle of a recruiting blitz. Since April this year, I believe there have been 1,200 staff added to our health services across Tasmania.
The Nurses Union has indicated its members are highly likely to launch industrial action in the near future. The Tasmanian Examination Authority has apologised for several errors detected in end-of-year exam papers. For more, let's bring in reporter Victoria Eastoe. Vic, how many TCE exams have been impacted?
Kim, it's actually been quite a series of embarrassing blunders. So far, 5 out of the 24 written tests have been identified as having some form of issues. Now, these range from spelling mistakes to incorrect questions, which was the case with the physics exam. That test showed contradicting figures in the question and the accompanying diagram. Tasmanian Assessment Standards and Certification has acknowledged the unfortunate errors, particularly during an already stressful time for students, that the errors will not impact student results. Now, there are still 2 more days of exams to go, so hopefully there's no more curveballs thrown at students and then they can enjoy a very well-deserved break. Kim.
Hundreds of polar experts from around the country have met in Hobart for the inaugural Australian Antarctic Research Conference, discussing the impacts of climate change and rising sea levels on the icy continent.
Antarctica may be considered as one of the harshest environments on the planet, but experts say it's one of the most vulnerable and they claim its future is hanging in the balance.
Antarctica and the Southern Ocean are changing a lot. The ice on top of the Antarctic continent is melting at an increased rate. Oceans are warming, becoming more acidic.
Hundreds are gathering in Hobart today for an emergency summit, drawing on expertise from polar researchers, scientists and public policy experts.
460 attendees today, and 65% of those are early career researchers, so it's really a young generation coming together and sharing
findings, mapping out solutions to tackle global warming, rising sea levels and deteriorating ecosystems.
It's enormously important. When we talk about Antarctica, we can't just look at one aspect and understand how the system's changing. We really need to bring together people from a whole range of disciplines.
Experts feeling frosty about the icy continent's future, especially with rising sea levels and threatened species.
The problem's massive. It's literally an existential threat to many millions of people around the planet.
The penguins colonies, they've had some really big struggles as far as the breeding success.
The conference more timely than ever.
It's been more than a decade since we were last able to bring the whole community together.
Hoping to protect one of the world's last frontiers. Rebecca Gaidaneris, 7 Tasmania News.
As things heat up for the Hurricanes in the WBBL, the next generation of cricketers are taking part in their own Big Bash. Over 100 primary school age girls from the Kingborough region taking part in a gala day, encouraging them to take up cricket.
Potential Hobart Hurricane recruits taking to the field today.
6 runs! Woo!
Hundreds batting, bowling and having a blast for the Kingborough Girls Cricket Gala Day.
Very exciting.
We've got over 120 here today and they've come from Franklin, Huonville, Snug, Cygnet, Margate, Kingston.
Girls from grade 4 to 6 putting their skills to the test, taking part in a series of action-packed Big Bash games.
Try and keep them with their friends, with their schoolmates, make it as easy as possible for them to be involved and to get that early exposure to the game.
The program is aiming to make cricket more accessible and inclusive for budding recruits, as well as boost participation rates among girls across the state.
We've noticed in our region, in Kingborough, there's lower numbers sometimes with some of these young girls, so we're trying to really boost that.
Hoping to make cricket more appealing so that many consider taking up the sport.
I think it's making it as fun as possible, and out here what you'll see is the girls just having a good time, and that's the biggest thing that we're concerned about.
Have a go without the boys feeling like we're not as good as them.
The initiative also helping to foster friendships and teamwork among students.
Meeting different people, having fun with different schools.
Rebecca Gaidaneris, 7 Tasmania News.
The circus has rolled into town with South Australia's acrobatic company Gravity and Other Myths, bringing their award-winning show to Hobart. Audiences can expect to see physical limits being pushed while being immersed in every jaw-dropping moment.
We have 3 highs, lots of toss, lots of people flying around, tumbling, handstands.
We see a lot of hands over mouths when we do crazy stuff up high. There's a lot of, oh my goodness.
The show opens tonight at Hobart's Theatre Royal and will run for 5 nights before heading to France and Austria.
There's a nervous 24 hours ahead for 1,044 young AFL hopefuls who's nominated for tomorrow night's draft, including 2 Tasmanians who are throwing their hats in the ring. North Launceston Rock Oliver Dean is one hoping to hear his name called, and former North Hobart midfielder Nathaniel Salzberger, who's been playing for Sandringham in at the Talent League. And Tasmanian rower Alex Viney will be playing a bigger role on the road to the next Paralympic Games, elected to the Australian Athlete Commission. She's one of 3 new faces joining the 13-member panel. Voting was conducted during the Paris Games. They're tasked with representing the interests of athletes to Paralympics Australia.
Good evening. Hobart, 18 degrees today. Launceston and Burnie 19. Devonport recorded 15. Pretty cool around the state. Temperatures mostly down on average. Cressy and Launceston Airport the top with 20. Friendly Beaches 19. Ouse 18. Low Head and Grove 17. Lyre, and St Helens reached 16 and Strawn 15 degrees. Just some low cloud over the west today. Clear for the rest of Tasmania, but plenty there to the west and southwest, as you can see. Thunderstorms up north too over Western Australia, the top end and inland New South Wales and Queensland. Another bright cloud reaches down from the Gulf to New South Wales, low cloud further to the southeast as well. Tomorrow, the high is our main influence, while troughs the main game over the mainland. Early breezes will be up to 25 knots over the east coast tomorrow. Those winds will become more variable at 10 to 20 knots from late morning. Still, we have a strong wind warning that remains in force from Tasman Island to Low Rocky Point. Midweek for Hobart, partly cloudy and 17, 16 the top for Geeston, 40% chance of a shower. Partly cloudy for Bothwell, 19 the high after 4 overnight. 23 for Launceston and partly cloudy, 19 the top for Devonport. A sunny day for Cressy, 5 overnight. 22 tomorrow. 19 for Burnie and partly cloudy, Strawn the same and 17 the high for Curry. And for St Helens tomorrow, reaching for a top of 18 degrees. Swansea partly cloudy and 19, 17 for Orford. On Thursday, a fine partly cloudy day in the north, sunny over the west, south and east. Temperatures on the improve on Friday, another fine day with light winds, and just in time for the weekend, the showers back extending statewide from the northwest. A shower in Perth, sunny and 29 in Adelaide, fine in Melbourne, Canberra and Sydney, just 22 in Brisbane tomorrow as rain eases to showers. Bit of cloud around at the moment, 13 in Hobart, clear in Launceston 16, clear in Devonport 15 degrees. As you know, Kim, Tourism Tasmania have been encouraging us to a holiday at home, particularly with all the great months of fine weather ahead of us. So I've taken that mantra on board and I'll be talking to you from a secret location tomorrow.
Oh, another junket that you get. Thanks, Murph. We'll see you out and about tomorrow. And that is all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.